winners? Let the pros show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a regular contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the online betting industry. Together, they lead PickNation.com, your #1 source for winners.
Week 13 of the NFL season just hours away from kicking off, which means Jason Garrett, Andy Reid, Norv Turner, all 1 week closer to getting fired. And Steve, that is going to be a sad, sad thing, because if you've consistently gone against the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Chargers this year, you have made big-time money. And that's what this show is all about, making you money. The Countdown to Kickoff program, the only nationally televised show to break down all of your top NFL and college games from a point spread perspective. I'm Al DeMarco. Joining me today, Steve Budin, looking a little bit like his Tony Soprano alter ego. And this show being brought to you here on FoxSports.com for the 6th consecutive season. I've been a professional sports handicapper for over 20 years, but started my career as a sports reporter. So I used the knowledge that I gained from covering teams and being in the locker room, around players and coaches, managers on the field. That has all shaped my handicapping philosophy. Steve, however, you definitely have a different perspective. Son of a bookmaker, which is one of the nicest things I can say about this guy, and former bookmaker and the guy who created the offshore sportsbook betting industry. You really have as I said, a different perspective because you're on the other side of the fence.
Right, so you were a professional journalist, a sports writer. I was the former largest bookmaker in the world, and we bring our different perspectives to this show to do what we do that no one else does, and that is break down these games from a point spread perspective and actually take a position. That's something that's not done anywhere on radio, television, or the internet.
And guys, for this week's show, we are going to start with the Monday night game. And after that drudgery that was Carolina and Philadelphia last week, after some miserable Monday night games, we have a good matchup here. Giants and Washington. We know what happened the first go-round. Washington, everybody thought the Redskins were in line for the victory. But I think the focus here has to be, in terms of my viewpoint on this game, what the Giants have done coming off the bye after 2 consecutive losses. Suddenly they regained their mojo last week. Absolutely took the Packers and Aaron Rodgers out to the woodshed, gave them a big-time beating. But that's typical of New York. Start fast, mid-season swoon, finish fast, advance to the playoffs. Not a bad formula.
No, you know, Al, they call this the Monday night bailout for a reason. That's because it's the last chance for gamblers to get a shot at their man. Now, look, we preach ratings. We teach ratings. We can talk till we're blue in the face about ratings, but we know as handicappers on Monday night, gamblers are going to do what they have to do. They're going to throw the rating out, and they're going to try to get even. That puts a lot of pressure on us as handicappers. Now listen, Washington, they're going to be ready. They're obviously rested, and they want revenge. The last time these two teams played, RG3 took them down for the late go-ahead score, only to watch Eli Manning hit Victor Cruz for the 77-yard touchdown pass to steal the game. And now you think that Washington has an edge because of the revenge scenario. I don't think so. They played their heart out against the Giants, and they still lost. Head coach Tom Coughlin, Al, he understands very well how important it is to have the momentum late in the season when you're trying to make a deep playoff push and, you know, you're trying to get another Super Bowl. I think -2, cheaper than an Atlantic City lap dance. I'm going with the Giants here.
Not that you have any personal experience with that.
And people don't even know there are strip clubs in Atlantic City. I'm here to tell you there are.
Hey, listen, in Washington's defense, playing devil's advocate, they have covered 4 straight in the series. They're on a 9-4 ATS run as well as an underdog. Steve, I think the way to go in this game, though, is often people get so fixated on the side of a game. Look at the total, guys. It's 51.5 points. The Redskins don't play any defense. The Giants, we have seen repeatedly, They don't play defense. They have been unable to generate much of a pass rush. They're not going to be able to contain RG3. Alfred Morris coming off that 133-yard performance in the win at Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. I think these two teams are just going to go marching back and forth up and down the field. I can see somewhere in the 60s being scored in this one, so I think that's the easier play. The hell with the side, go with the game over.
Well, I agree with you. RG3 had great games the last 2 weeks, Al, but that was against Dallas and Philly. He's going to have a tougher time here against the Giants. I'm still sticking with the Giants.
Okay, and I will tell you that he's wrong about RG3, and the Giants' defense is no better than those other teams. Guys, I've told you all season long, Baltimore's defense, a fraud. The Giants' defense, a fraud. And I think I'll be proven right here in this game. We are going to now jump to the Sunday schedule. We'll do it in reverse chronological order. Let's talk about one of my boys, Norv Turner. Norv, how will you manage to screw up a game this week and lose once again with the Chargers? How you lost last week against Baltimore? I don't know. I mean, that was just truly a miracle if you were a Ravens better. Listen, bottom line here is San Diego is slumping. Cincinnati's on another roll. I mean, they killed Oakland at 34-10 last week at home, so they've now won 3 straight games after losing 4 in a row. You got to love Marvin Lewis's team's consistency. Andy Dalton, who was throwing interceptions at an alarming rate early, suddenly, during the 3-game winning streak, 9 touchdown passes, 0 picks. Cincinnati's pretty cheap, 2.5-point favorite on the road, but I think this is a spot where you got to go with the Bengals.
I agree with you. I mean, more people will go to the San Diego Zoo on Sunday than that will watch the Chargers. And the reason is because watching elephants crap is more exciting than watching the Chargers these days. I mean, look, speaking of elephant crap, you smell that? That's Norv Turner's career rotting right in front of your very eyes. Cincinnati has the momentum. They're on a 3-game win streak. Andy Dalton, 9 touchdown passes, no interceptions for that 3-game stretch. I mean, Al, I agree with you here. I think Cincinnati's the play. I'm laying the points.
Hey, listen, these Chargers, after blowing that late lead against Baltimore and losing in overtime because they couldn't stop Ray Rice on 4th and 29, they have now lost 6 of their last 7 games. They've only covered twice in that 7-game stretch. Meanwhile, the Bengals on a 10-4-1 ATS run on the road. So I think it's a cheap price. Go with the Bengals in this game. It is not a trap. Before we get to your next game on Denver and Tampa, one of the better games on today's card in terms of your Sunday action, let's talk about fantasy football. Every week this season, we have been running a free contest over at picknation.com where you can play free fantasy football in conjunction with draftstreet.com, and best of all, $500 in total prize money, top 20, finish in the money, and again, it's free to enter. And Steve, as we always say, it's instant gratification.
Yeah, and I can't believe that we're in week 13 yet, and there's no one, that's watching this show that hasn't played this contest yet. But just in case you're out there, the 1 or 2 of you, you can continue to play this contest every single week. Doesn't matter that you played it last week. Doesn't matter that you played it the week before. It's absolutely free. You don't get penalized for playing it every week, but you get a shot to win that money.
I'm watching you go through this section here, and I keep thinking Ronnie of Jersey Shore. I don't know, with the glasses.
That is the nicest thing that anyone's ever said to me.
I mean,
so I'll take that.
It's a little alarming looking over here at your partner in crime, and you're sitting here and you're talking and you're going, I can't see your eyes, which I don't know, maybe that's a good thing,
it could
considering
be a good
this
thing.
is early in the day. But here's the thing, as you said, this is instant gratification. This contest is over on Monday night, right after the Giants-Redskins game. You don't have to wait till the end of the season. You don't have to keep reshuffling your teams. No, you've got until 1 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday to formalize your lineup. You've got a $100,000 mythical bankroll. You're playing GM. You pick your team, top 20 finish in the money, $125 first place prize, and $500 in total prize money. Last week, there was 1.5 points difference between first and second place. That's how close it has been here lately. And again, it's free, so why wouldn't you play?
Yeah, it's super exciting. And if you don't know how to get to it, it's easy. You just come to our site, picknation.com. You'll see the big ad for the Draft Street contest. You hit that, you fill out the information, and it's 1, 2, 3.
Steve, next game, Denver and Tampa Bay. A lot of bettors went down in flames betting the Broncos each of the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they were backdoored by San Diego, up easy, and the Chargers scored in the final minutes to get the cover. Then last week, I think It was a game that bettors should have been leery of. They were going to Kansas City. Broncos have been playing at such a high level. Kansas City so bad, you figure, go ahead, lay the 10.5 points with Denver in that game, but they only won it 17-9. And it was not a case of a backdoor cover either. The Broncos were lucky to escape with the game, with the win. Just a lackadaisical, but more importantly, a flat effort. But again, I don't think that should have been unexpected.
Right. Well, I think great teams will have a letdown, but still win the game. And it acts kind of like a wake-up call for them. Now, I've talked about Tampa Bay for the last couple of weeks. I love this team. I love what they're doing. Al, I think they have a bright future. The problem is, we're not betting futures here. We're betting on the present. And in this case, that present is gift wrapped with a bow on top. See, here's the little dirty secret that nobody knows. Tampa Bay cannot defend the pass at all. And if they thought that Matty Ice was a stud, wait till they get a load of Peyton Manning, Al. He's even better. Again, I'm not here to discredit the turnaround in Tampa Bay. It's been nothing short of miraculous. But not this week, not against this team, not against Peyton Manning. I like Denver here laying the wood.
Hey, listen, and last week, you know, Tampa Bay and Atlanta, prior to that preview, I told you something that Steve just alluded to. Tampa Bay, #1 in the league last week going into the Falcons game, defending the run, number 32, bottom of the league in terms of stopping the pass. And Matt Ryan, 353 yards in that game, shredded the Buccaneers secondary, which lost another key member this week. They have lost 2 starters in their secondary, either because of suspension or because of trade since the start of the season. You're right, Peyton Manning's going to pick them apart, but there's a lot of enthusiasm about the Bucs here. That's the only reason this line, which really should be 10, is only 7. I'm looking at this as a dirt cheap price. I mean, Peyton last week in an off game at Kansas City had 285 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Now, I think one of the keys for the Broncos, though, in last week's game, Willis McGahee, of course, gone for the season with that knee injury suffered in the Chargers game a couple of weeks ago. No Sean Marino, former #1 draft pick, who's pretty much been a bench warmer the last couple of years because of injuries, 85 yards rushing. As long as the Broncos have some semblance of a ground game, it makes Peyton so much more dangerous with play action.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. Gamblers with their short-term memory, only bringing last week forward into this week. They do it with teams that lose, that they feel owe them something next week. They do it with teams that don't play great like Denver last week, and they think that's going to be a trend that continues. It's a big mistake.
Absolutely. So forget about the fact that the Bucs are 5-1 against the spread as an underdog this season. Go with Denver in this one instead. Listen, guys, you can get my best bet today. Last Sunday, it was an easy one with the Colts taking care of business against the Bills. You can get Steve's latest from the Baltimore crew, his #1 crew that has made $10 bettors over $6,000 the past 5 years. You can get all the plays of all the handicappers today for free at picknation.com simply by using the 1-day free all-access pass. And Steve, as we like to say, nobody else in this industry would ever take a shot and have the guts or the balls to do something like this, but we have nothing to hide.
Right, and there's a big reason, because everyone else in the industry, they just want to take your money first and worry about you later. We're trying to build long-term customers, so it's our philosophy that will pull back the curtain, show you everything that there is to see so that you know what paying customers are seeing before you ever have to reach your hand into your wallet.
And guys, not only are you going to get our best bets, all our analysis, you're going to get the plays of all 10 handicappers for free, no strings attached. You're talking about $600-700 worth of action for free. Check it out. 1-day free all-access pass at picknation.com. Next game, New England against Miami. This one being played in South Florida. The Patriots have scored a little over 800 points in their last 2 games. I don't see why this trend should stop here against the Dolphins, who Ryan Tannehill started the season. Everybody was real enthused. Ryan Tannehill now, 7 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions. Lucky to come back and snap a 3-game losing streak with last week's win. I don't see any reason to go ahead and back the Dolphins in a game I personally want to touch, but I can't find any support for Miami.
Yeah, Tannehill's hit the rookie wall. Look, only Giselle, naked, coming out of a shower, is hotter than the New England offense right now. Look, Al's right. 108 points the last 2 games. They are on fire. And look, Bill Belichick's defense, I've been critical of it all season long. It's actually a little better still far from good. But the question is, like Al says, can Ryan Tannehill keep up with Tom Brady? The easy answer, no. The last 4 games, Brady, 12 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Like the Giants, Al, New England's a veteran team with a veteran coach that understands very well how important it is to be playing your best ball when you're heading into the postseason, especially a year like this where they can sneak their way into the Super Bowl because everyone else is playing so bad. I like New England here. I think this game is all Patriots.
Listen, New England is on a 9-4 ATS run as a road favorite. And here's something else for any of you still tempted to take the Dolphins plus the points. Keep in mind, no matter who's been the coach, no matter who's been the quarterback, no matter who they are fielding on the for the team on a particular Sunday, this team has only covered 13 of its last 43 home games. 13-30 against the spread its last 43 home games. I mean, you're a former bookmaker. You'd love to have suckers going into that type of wager. I mean, again, I think if you play it, you have to play New England or possibly look at the Patriots in the teaser. Ideal team to look in a teaser, a 2-team teaser with 6 points, taking down New England to 3. Actually, I'd probably play New England in a 7-point teaser and take them down to 2.
Oh, yeah, look, Miami, not a good team at home. It speaks volumes of the South Beach nightlife scene. They're much better off when they get away from that.
Which I think you're dressed for today.
Well, thank you.
Detroit and Indianapolis. I used the Colts last weekend as my best bet. I am not using the Colts in this game. I don't care that Detroit really should have beaten Houston on Thanksgiving Day and lost that contested game in terms of the officiating and Jim Schwartz's brain freeze on whipping out the challenge flag. But I think this is a spot to go ahead and take Detroit minus the 4.5 points in this game. Indianapolis, last road game, of course, destroyed at New England. Colts have been great. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts. This is a team that's covered 5 of its last 6, but I just can't find a lot of enthusiasm to back them today, even though they were my best bet last Sunday.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side, Al. Look, the biggest difference between the Lions and the Colts, Lions, to me, they just seem to find a way to lose. And the Colts, they don't necessarily find a way to win, but they give themselves a chance to win every single game. Also, the Colts are playing with heavy hearts here. Their coach is ill. I believe in that type of stuff. I think it gives you extra incentive when you're a professional athlete. The Lions, meanwhile, they've proven that they can pass the ball with the best of them. However, they have failed to establish the run in any game yet so far. I think that lack of balance is killing them. Defenses, they key on the pass, and they almost dare the Lions to run. And when they can't, it's big problems here. We can save money on the bookmaker this week and just bet each other. I'm going with Indianapolis. Woo, woo, plus the points.
And I'm telling you, he's wrong. And listen, guys, last week I had him against the Bills at home. Buffalo, worst rush defense in the league, and yet the Colts, who had seemingly run the ball better early in the season, I point out frequently this season on the show, only 87 yards on the ground. I think Detroit's defense is going to put the pressure on Andrew Luck in this one, and I think this is a fairly priced game at 4.5 points. Now to the game which you are probably looking forward to. Personally, if it was up to me, I would have skipped the Jets-Arizona. But one of us here is the huge Jets fan, or maybe the former Jets fan, right, based on how things have gone here this season. Listen, you know, it was a very competitive game on Thanksgiving up until they kicked it off. It was a 3-0 game after 1, and then I literally turned the game off for about 10 minutes, and I came back, and it was 38-3, and I'm going, what the hell happened? Well, we know what happened. 5 turnovers, 49-14, or 49-19. The Patriots finally won that game. Meanwhile, Arizona, third quarterback this season, went to the San Diego State rookie Ryan Lindley. Didn't help. Lost 31-17 to St. Louis last week at home. This team has lost 7 straight games. They're failed to cover in 6 of those 7. Not that I would play this game, but again, I can't find a lot of love here for Arizona.
No, this game reminds me of Duran Leonard, the 3rd time those bums fought. Look, I look at these 2 teams, and I'm like, can you get me Michael Jackson's Last Doctor on the phone? Because you need to put these 2 to sleep. Arizona's like Tom Petty, not just ugly, but free-falling. They haven't won a game since September, and now they come into New Jersey, where the biggest news at a camp this week is that Ringling Brothers has fired their #1 clown. That's right, Ed the Fireman is gone. He'll no longer be leading the chants in New York. So first you had Ava Longoria dumping Mark Sanchez like a bad plate of arroz con pollo, and now Ed the Fireman is gone. Al, I'd rather bet on a Twinkie eating contest. Who can eat more, Rex Ryan or Tony Sperano? But if I had, we say all the time as gamblers, if I had a gun to my head. Like if I had a gun to my head, I'd bet this team. Al, if I had a gun to my head, I'd pull the goddamn trigger. I wouldn't bet this game. But I'm going to take the Jets because what I've said from the beginning is that they're built to beat mediocre teams and worse. Well, Arizona's a mediocre team or worse. Let's go with the Jets in that trend, -4.5.
And guys, I'm a firm believer that you never put good money on bad teams, and here you have a battle of two bad teams, but I'm with Steve. I think the Jets are the play. And to allude to something he just said just a moment ago, this New York Jets team, 10-5-1 against the spread the last 16 times they've taken on teams with losing records. Arizona's lost 7 in a row. They certainly qualify. Green Bay and Minnesota. Packers, just a miserable performance last week against the Giants in New Jersey, but again, I think that's to be expected. The Giants were coming off the bye, 2 bad losses. Eli Manning just shredded this team. Good news for Packers fans. Greg Jennings, after a 7-game absence, expected to return. How much he will play remains to be seen, but any contributions they get from him, from Aaron Rodgers' #1 receiver, only will help them. Meanwhile, the Vikings, I thought they would turn the corner. Earlier in the season, it was the wrong corner. 28-10, they got hammered at Chicago last week, and Christian Ponder continues to show that he may not be the answered quarterback. 22 for 43, 159 yards against the Bears last week.
Yeah, I know, and every gambler right now is licking their chops, thinking that Green Bay is going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. And we talked about it earlier. Sometimes gamblers get mad because the week before they have a team, and a lot of gamblers, let's face it, had Green Bay last week. We both mentioned them on the show ourselves. And now they're mad and they think Green Bay owes them something. Well, Green Bay owes you nothing. The problem with Green Bay is they're still injured at every key position except quarterback, and the way that the offensive line is playing now, it won't be long until Aaron Rodgers gets added to that list. Look, I'm not here to argue who's going to win this game. I think Green Bay will win this game. The question is, can they cover a 10.5-point spread that's more bloated than Chris Christie after Mexican Mondays at TGIF? I think the back door here is wide open. I'm going to take the points here, Al. I'm going with Minnesota.
I can't agree with you here. I'm sorry. Listen, Vikings 1-4 ATS this year on the road. Percy Harvin has been out now for weeks. Packers have won 4 straight in the series. They covered 3 of the last 4. They're 10-3-1 against the spread their last 14 as a division home favorite. And again, I go back to Christian Ponder not playing well. So that means your offense consists of Adrian Peterson. I know the Packers have some injuries along the offensive line. They've got to be concerned with Clay Matthews. Their defensive pressure hasn't been as good. But still, I'm going to go with Green Bay in this game. Would I personally play it? Absolutely not. There's so many better games. But that's the point of this show. We give our opinions about what we think is going to happen, and then you can judge what you think of this game against ours. But remember, the best way to do it is to find out what our best bets are. You can do it for free. All access pass at picknation.com.
Now, this is great. You go to picknation.com, you'll see all of our pictures there on the big yellow ad. It's called the All Access Pass. Again, I can't believe 13 weeks into the show, you haven't taken advantage of it yet. But just in case you haven't, come to the site, check it out. It's the All Access Pass. Get my play, get Al's play, and the plays from every single one of our handicappers on the site.
Right, the plays that we are personally betting, you're getting for free. Over $600-700 of action. One-day All Access Pass, free trial, picknation.com, where you can catch this show in its entirety in case you want to watch it again. Final game today, Chicago and Seattle. Listen, Seattle has been just dominant at home. On the road, a different story. Chicago, Jay Cutler came back. Gee, big surprise. They took care of business against Minnesota 28-10 last week. But significant injury, I find, for the Bears coming out of that game. Matt Forte, once again, spraining his ankle. I have a big problem betting the Bears when Cutler's out or when Forte is not 100% healthy. Well, the latter is true here, so this is a stay-away game for me, but I think the price has been reflected here as well. -4, pretty cheap, so if I had to, I'd take Chicago.
Right, well, I think the big news out of last week's game was that Jay Cutler survived without being killed. Now, that was a different team than they're playing this week. Seattle, obviously, a much better defense. And look, if I were the Bears, I'd just have an ambulance on standby with the engine on, ready to roll. The Chicago offensive line, man, it's more banged up than a Las Vegas call girl on convention week. And that means one thing and one thing only. Cutler will be running for his life. Seattle's pass rush, it's second to none. 29 sacks this year already. Rookie quarterback Russell Wilson is on a roll. 9 touchdown passes, only 1 interception the last 5 games out. Pete Carroll, the last 12 games, is 11-1 as a dog. I don't like betting Chicago when they're not the most physical defense on the field. When they're not the intimidating defense, I think it's not the right spot for them. That's why I like Seattle here. I'm taking the points.
And again, I disagree with them because, listen, last week this dominant Seattle team, this great Seattle team, 1-5 straight up on the road this year, you went to Miami. The Dolphins had lost 3 straight games and you lost 24-21. And that defense made Ryan Tannehill look like the second coming of Dan Marino. So I'm sorry, I can't back a team that hasn't performed on the road. Again, would I bet it myself? Absolutely not. But I think the price is right. And I think Chicago -4, 4.5 is a good price in this one, even though I will be upfront with you. You know, non-division home outings, the Bears are on a 6-17 ATS slide. But I think this one, because of the price and because a lot of people feel like you do, Seattle's so dominant defensively, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, in Seattle they are. Outside of Century Field, they aren't. So I'm going to go the other way, take Chicago. Remember, guys, you can catch my daily video report every single day over at picknation.com, where I've got free picks backed by in-depth analysis, plus money-saving discount coupon codes, free trial offers for you as well. For Steve Budin, Al DeMarco, that wraps up this week's show. Remember to catch us again next weekend right here on foxsports.com for your countdown to kickoff.